Now, answering your questions about the law and legal issues. This is Legal Break with attorney Gary Bruce.
Welcome to Legal Break. Again, Gary, glad to have you here.
Good. Let's get right at it.
Let's get right at it. We have a viewer email. What should I do if my workman's comp case wants to settle, but they don't want to give me the amount that I want?
It's a good question because comp is a little different than a normal, what we think of as a lawsuit kind of case. Workers' comp is an administrative proceeding. And with workers' comp, we don't care whose fault it is. So we're not trying to prove liability. There's no proof of negligence. You know, you've just got hurt on the job doing your job. And so it doesn't matter whether it was your fault, unless it was just kind of an idiopathic fall. If you just trip over your own feet, then that may not be covered. But to the point of the question, now they want to settle with you. Well, you got to be careful. And I used to tell people, well, if they're paying your medical bills and they're paying your lost earnings, then you don't really need to talk to somebody about it. But that's not really true. And I think you ought to probably talk to a lawyer. I know there's always sensitivity about that. Do I want to let my employer know? I'm a little concerned about losing my job over it if I don't have a lawyer involved. Most lawyers will meet with you and talk to you about the issues without even getting involved, you know, because you have to file a document to get involved. So you can kind of lay in the weeds and advise. And that's what we do a lot of times at my office, is just kind of give people, let them know what their options are. But there's some parts of workers' comp that can be paid and are mandatory to be paid without regard to a settlement. And then there's some ways that you pull it all together and do a lump sum settlement that cuts off your benefits. So you've got to be really careful about what you're agreeing to, know what your rights are, and talk to a lawyer. It's important.
Yeah, it sure is. We also have a man on the street question. Let's roll it and get right to it.
Hey Gary, I just had a question. If a business is being sued, files bankruptcy, is the case dropped?
All right, two issues there. If it's the business, the actual defendant that's being sued and files bankruptcy, no. You can go to the bankruptcy court and ask that the case be allowed to proceed. You have to lift the bankruptcy stay, and it's a proceeding that it takes a little time, but you can then proceed against the assets of the business or against their insurance. So it doesn't necessarily end the case. Now, if it's an insurance company that's gone bankrupt, which has happened recently here in Georgia, then there are other ways that the case can proceed with insolvency pools or other sources of maybe some coverage. So don't give up just because bankruptcy's been filed, I guess, is the bottom line. There's things that can be done. Talk to a lawyer.
Absolutely.
So send your questions. We love getting them. It helps us know what's important to people.
Legal Break at WTVM.com. Thank you, Gary. We look forward to seeing you on the very next one.